Hello.
What's up, dude? Is your video working? There we go.
Uh, yeah, there we go.
What's up?
Nothing much. How are you?
Good, man. Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. All right, so I had a few questions about like how you like approach like impulses, like what day throughout the week would you do it? Like before like high intent days or like after high intent days?
What do you mean the 4 high intent days?
Like would you do it like the day before? Would you do it like the day of or like the day after? Like
Like the day before throwing, or like what
oh yeah,
exactly?
throwing. Sorry, I didn't mean.
I'm like, are you play baseball?
Yeah, I play baseball.
Okay, okay. Are you a pitcher or position player?
I'm a pitcher.
Okay. So you're specifically asking like when I'd use impulse around your high intent throwing days?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like within my programming, they'll be mixed in different spots. It's not gonna be the same way all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What I'll say is like, normally the way that I structure that or the way that I set that up is like, let's say that you have your high intent throwing days twice a week, and it's like Tuesday, Friday. Usually I'm gonna have our like higher intensity upper days on like Tuesdays, Fridays after you're throwing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the impulses might be on those days, or they might also be like the day after.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be on the lower days, which would be like the day after that. And they might be on prep days, which would be like the day before. But in general, I would think about using them like with impulses. I don't necessarily think about them as just an arm care piece. They're
Yeah.
they're a part of training, just like a squat or a deadlift or a sprint
Yeah.
or a jump or something like that would be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Because like if you use them as an arm care thing, like like bands or like the kettlebell walks or whatever, if you just start using them like that and it's just a consistent thing like over and over and over and over again, where it's
Yeah.
like this is a post throw thing, this is like a
Yeah.
post throw thing, then they lose what makes them effective in the first place. So
Yeah.
it's like it's important to have a lot of different um ways that you can hit, because I think about it as like, let's hit wrist, let's hit elbow, let's hit shoulder, like let's hit all those areas. It's important to have a lot of different ways that you can do that so that your body doesn't just like adapt to one and then it's not really doing anything.
Yeah, makes sense.
Have you messed with them at all, or like have you used them?
Um, I've not used them, but I've like seen you do it, and I was wondering wondering when to do them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had some like issues like with my high intent throwing days, like fully extending my elbow, and it kind of like hurts like full extension like the next day. So like, would you suggest that like impulses like would help like strengthening in full elbow extension?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the entirety of your background and situation, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
is it it doesn't feel like an injury, it's more just like a tightness, like a soreness?
Yeah, pretty much. And it'll go away before like the next time I throw, but
Mm-hmm.
like to minimize like the soreness and stuff.
Yeah. Like, so I'd say there's two things. Are you in season right now then? Are
Not
you?
yet. I
Okay.
still have a month till season starts.
Okay. Yeah. So there's two things that I would say. Number one is the preparation beforehand can like lower the amount of soreness that you have once you do get into your season or once you do get into the high intensity throwing. So
Yeah.
that's where the training in and of itself, the intensity of it and the volume of it becomes very important, because the goal, like my goal is literally to have, when you step on the mountain you're throwing, to have you
Mm-hmm.
feel like this is the easiest thing that we're going to do this week, and not just, it's not like it's because we went and ran 10 miles every day before, because that's just like waste, like that's harder than pitching a game maybe, but it's
Yeah.
not really applicable to actually throwing in a game.
Yeah.
What I mean is like I want the actual throw in and of itself and the volume of the throws and the intensity of the throws to actually feel easier than whatever it is that we've done for preparation up until that point. So the first part, in terms of like allowing your arm to feel good even after days when you throw, is it's kind of like established before you actually start throwing of how prepared you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the volume and intensity of, let's say, impulses or joint moves, or just like the training in general, we want the volume or intensity of that to be literally be more difficult than the throwing, because then your arm has no reason to be sore or to be tight like after throwing. So that's the first part,
Yeah.
is the actual training preparation, like get that handled, and then that doesn't have a need to present. And then if you're kind of like already in it and you're getting that sometimes, I mean, the what I would do like for that specific thing, I'd probably go, you could do impulses, like a couple different things that I throw at it. Like you could do impulses with it, kind of like elbow in a straight position, just go at whatever level of intensity you can, and kind of think about like desensitizing that area. That's one thing that you can
Mhm.
do, where it's like,
Yeah.
let's say like you're here and you're impulsing forward and you go at 100%, you're like, that doesn't feel good. You got 75%, you're like, okay, that's all right. And you go at maybe 65%, you're like, that feels like a sweet spot. And then you impulse starts feeling better. And you can go up and up and up in terms of intensity. That's
Yeah.
one example, but that's not the only way to attack it. I'd also go like different days after outings. You could do, I'll do things where we go like this position here for like 3 minutes straight. And the goal is to be able to get to the point where you don't feel anything there. So literally like all the tissues on the backside are fully shortened. All the tissues on this side are fully lengthened, because that
Mhm.
tightness or tension is essentially the tissues feeling like they have to lock down or contract. Like that's literally like what tightness or tension is.
Yeah.
Right. So when
You
we
would
do
hold this
something,
position like right here for 3 minutes?
yeah. Have you ever done the slow lowers?
No, but I've done like isometrics, but not
Okay.
slow lowers.
Yeah, slow lowers are a little different.
Mhm.
Because it's basically like a slow lower specifically at the elbow joint, where in an ISO, you're essentially just trying to resist gravity to stay in the position,
Uh-huh.
right? Like if you
Yeah.
do what ISOs have you done?
I've done like a push-up ISO with like two boxes and like a deep
In
push-up
between
ISO.
them?
Yeah. And then I do like dead hangs a lot
Okay.
and handstands.
Yeah. So like deep push-up ISO, what happens at the end?
Um like I just hold it at the end for like a minute.
Do you go till fail, or do you like what do you go to?
Um well, I like go to like I progress like every week. I'll just like add like 10 seconds or 5 seconds.
Okay.
And then yeah.
Okay. Got it.
But
Yeah.
like pretty
So
I would
hmm?
say like pretty close to failure.
Yeah. So that's where it's a little bit different. Where the slow lowers, the goal isn't to fail. The goal is actually to learn how to be able to stay in that position and never fail.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like with this, it would be we want to work it like a slow lower in the sense that we're looking to lengthen tissues here and shorten tissues there. But
Mhm.
um it's a different feel, a different thing than isometric, because we're not just trying to resist gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Cool. So I was also like wondering like I've seen like you say things like recover as you work. So I was like wondering if you can elaborate like what does that like mean? Or like how can you like how can you like do it better? Because I feel like I do like a hang, and my first set I could hit like a minute and a half pretty easily, and then the second set like I'm doing like a minute and I'm like burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the whole concept of the slow lowers. So like what I've gone through is, I mean, I've done like 10 sets of 3 minute slow lower push-ups, just like back to back to back to back to back
Yeah.
as like a way to kind of like test and see it, or just
Hmm.
to put it to the test of like, okay, can I actually do this, right? um
Hmm.
so the basic concept of recover as you work is, if like our body is designed to work, our body is designed to work in a specific way, and if we're able to use our body in that way, it can actually recover as it goes, and it doesn't have to fatigue, because there's not resistance against itself, right? So like if we go back to the slow lowers and the ISOs, this is why slow lowers are fairly foundational for like what I do. The reason is the whole basic concept of a slow lower for the deep push-up is to be able to lower yourself for 3 minutes to be able to press up at the end as if you didn't just do the lower. That's like a physical representation of what it means to recover as you work. If you're doing an ISO and you get to the end and you fail, that means that
Hmm.
you haven't recovered as you work because you failed, right?
Yeah.
So when the intent becomes to press back up at the end, that from the start starts to indicate to you like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this for the time that's involved and not fail. Which is completely different thought process
Yeah.
as compared to an ISO. Like I'm just trying to get as deep as I can. I'm trying to hold here for as long as I can.
Hmm.
Um, so through the slow lowers, we can like learn how to use our body well and how to use our body efficiently. And not only our body, it's also, thoughts, emotions, feelings, those things as well. Because
Hmm.
the thing that causes you to fail may not always be something that's a muscle, like something physical, right? If
Yeah.
you're um if you've had like a rough day or a rough past 3 days and you're in a slow lower and you get to the bottom and you're like, I don't want to keep going, even though you physically could, the
Yeah.
thing that caused you to fail there isn't has nothing to do with what you're doing with your body. It's the thought process of not understanding how to process and handle that emotion,
Yeah.
right? If you're able to process and handle that, then that can then put you back into present time and to continue to actually like do the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but like the recover as you work is an actual physical thing that can be like kind of tested or proven to work through the
Yeah.
slow lowers, and then also through, you know, depth drops or impulses or whatever. Like it's the goal is to kind of, at least for myself, I learned it through the slow lowers, and then that allowed me to then take what I got from that and apply it to like impulses. Like, okay, how can I do 300 impulses in a row and not fatigue? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's taking that concept and applying it to everything that we do. So it's like, okay, when you're throwing, what would it be like for you to just keep throwing and not ever actually fatigue from that? Like it because it's different. That's a different thought process than like throwing is stressful, throwing is hard on my arm. Like there's so much force going through my body, right? That's a completely different thought process than like, okay, how would I set myself up to actually be able to continue to do this and never actually have to stop? What are all the factors that are involved in
Yeah.
that? And it's like a big equation to handle, but if you never ask, or if you never start asking, then there's no shot you ever get to the end of figuring that out or getting closer and closer to it anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. So like where would you like start with those like slow lowers?
Um, doing them. I mean,
I obviously, but
yeah,
like doing like, say you're doing like a deep push-up one, like
yeah.
how many seconds like on the way down and into a push-up would you start with? Like whatever you can
I
do,
mean, the
or
goal is always like 3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I've seen you do like long ass like deep push-ups, so
yeah.
you
I mean,
would,
I've done like I did isis for a long time before I kind of figured out the slow lowers. Like I mean,
yeah,
a deep push up, I've done 5 minutes with 85 pounds on my back in a deep push up,
yeah,
ISO, and then just like failed at the end.
yeah.
But I didn't I stopped doing those as much because I didn't find the benefit that I thought I was supposed to be having from that. Because it just became like this thing that was difficult and that was hard, and I was just like, oh, I just got to go do this again, type of thing, right?
Hmm.
When I figured out the slow lowers, it was like, oh, this is actually something that helps me to progress because I can. It's not just like I'm going out and running 10 miles and stressing myself. It's like an actual method to use my body, to use my mind, to allow me to do more. So none of that might make any much sense if you've never done like the slower stuff, or if you don't have any experience with it. So that's why I said,
Yeah,
I mean, the basic thing would be like, if you don't, I would start doing them.
yeah.
Like the slow lower series is what I'd recommend to start doing those. That
Hmm.
has all the stuff in it.
Yeah. And you go slow on the way up too, right?
Uh, sometimes,
Sometimes.
yeah.
So like what are the benefits of going slow on the way up and just like doing a regular push-up?
Um,
Or like what would be the difference?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, for me, it helped me to feel like very, very precise control of my body, and it helped
Yeah.
me to give a better idea of how to actually pull down into position. Like
Hmm.
when I started to press back up like cleanly, it helped me figure out how to better pull down into position cleanly, because if there's anything that was inefficient in my press back up, I was going to fail at fatigue.
Yeah.
Because the difference between the lower and the raise back up is, in the lower you're working with gravity, so theoretically you could do that forever. There's always some deeper range that you could pull to, and you're technically not working up against anything, you're working down with gravity. So there's not
Yeah.
really any there's no there's nothing that you're fighting against if you're pulling down well. So you could theoretically do that forever.
Yeah.
When you're going back up, you're working against gravity, so there is actually something that is down on you that you're resisting up against,
Hmm.
right? um so those are maybe a little bit less doable to do forever, because
Hmm.
at some point you're just like, there's gravity, right?
Yeah.
um so yeah, I mean, those aren't included in the basic concept of like a slow lower, because the basic concept of a slow lower is be able to lower, be able to pop back up out of it as if you didn't just do it, or go do something that has that movement in it,
Hmm.
and be able to do that as if you didn't just like deep push up for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also like wondering like Do you do like any like eccentric only work or not really? Like where you do like say like you get like a heavy weight that you can't really curl and like you'll do like an eccentric of it for like 5 seconds and then just like use your other hand to assist you for the way up. It's not centric.
Um, yeah, I haven't really done much of that. I mean, I
Hmm.
think it's fine. For me, if I'm doing a lower, like in that specific situation, I'd actually want to be able to like I want to be able like if I'm lowering in a bicep, I want to be able to shorten my tricep and lengthen my biceps so that it didn't fatigue
Yeah.
versus trying to like fight against it.
Hmm.
So it's the same concept as like a slow lower, it's just for faster time in a different position.
Yeah.
And the reason is I don't and this is just like my perspective and what I found to work. But
Mm.
like I don't want my musculature to fight against each other to be like because when your bicep fires, like when your bicep contracts to try to move, basically what it's doing is it's causing flexion at your elbow. But when your tricep contracts to shorten, it's causing extension at your elbow. So if I'm
Hmm.
in a curl position and I'm lowering and I'm trying to resist and come up with my bicep, I'm attempting to contract to shorten my bicep, but my elbow joint is actually getting longer. So it's like there's what should be happening is like the tricep should be contracting because that's what extends my elbow joint,
Yeah.
right? So what I found is when that's done well in terms of the muscle that acts on the joint is actually doing the work to act on the joint. When I found that done well, the body just feels so much more efficient and like easy because there's not resistance against it.
Yeah.
And like it can keep going.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, like, do you do like any like hang like variation type of stuff or not really? Like dead
What
hangs
do
or
you
something?
mean? Huh?
Like off of like a pull up bar?
What can I do or what do you mean?
Like, do you do?
Yeah, I'll do hang stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, would you like use that like to test like recovering as you work, or that's like something like different?
No, you definitely could. So there's a slow lower pull up.
Yeah.
It's it's hard as hell. It's
Yeah.
because you only have 2 points of contact. Like in a push up, you have your hands and then you have your feet. And a pull, all you have are your arms.
Hmm.
So like picture at the top of a pull and attempting to like drive yourself down for 3 minutes straight and then pull up at the end. Uh, I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
but as far as like I think I've done. I mean, I've done like maybe like 60 seconds, but I'll do a different variation of it with like a pull type thing. But as far as like the hang and testing that thing, like yeah, you could integrate the concept of the slower at the bottom of a hang to that. So it'd just be like in a hang position, not trying to work against gravity or resist against gravity, but trying to like drive with gravity as you're hanging.
Yeah. All right. Well,
That makes sense.
yeah. So that's all I got with the questions I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where you go to school at?
I go to Notre Dame High School. It's in New Jersey.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
You senior? What year in school are you?
I'm a junior right now.
Junior. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet dude. Yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you.
No, yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Have a good one.
Great. You too. Deuces.